So I'm on the North Fork Trail this evening. I hit the trailhead real late. I'd only had a couple hours of daylight left when I got on the trail. And of course, once you get in the woods under the trees, the shadow of the mountain, man, it gets dark even faster. The sun sets 20 after 8. It's getting dark at 20 till. And I was shucking and jiving down this trail. I was trying to get to the first hard switchback, the first big bend close to the low ground, but I was running out of time. I was running out of light. I was soaked with sweat. Feet were soaked from trogging through the mud in Merrill boots that are supposed to be waterproof but ain't worth a damn. Waterproof my ass. Anyway, I was starting to get stressed. I was starting to get uptight. I'd like to say it's not true, but it happens to the best of us. You get out here by yourself. You've already been up all day. You're tired. You're wet. You're cold. It's getting dark. And all I needed was a flat piece of ground without any mud in it. Just a dry, flat piece of ground about 6.5 feet long, because I'm not going fancy this trip. All I've got's a Gore-Tex bivy bag and a rain fly. I don't even have a blanket or any kind of ground pad or anything. I just need 6 feet of level ground, and I wasn't finding it. It's getting dark. But I took a breath. I stopped, took a breath, got a drink of water. Just reminded myself, pay attention, man. Look around. Don't stress. The mountain will provide. And I took, I don't know, maybe another 50 yards down the trail. Saw a flat piece of dry ground. It was just big enough. And I said, by damn, that's the spot. That's what we're going with, because it was already so dark I was going to have to pitch camp by headlight, and I hate to do that, but it was what it was. So I come walking up in here, and I'll be damned if there wasn't an old fire ring already here where somebody else had camped here years ago. I don't think it's been used in years and years. There's moss on the rocks. It's completely filled up with leaves. Of course, I can figure out why, because this spot really isn't worth a damn. It literally is just a flat spot about 6 feet long, and there's rocks and roots in the spot. It's going to be uncomfortable. But I set up camp, set up the bivvy, got even darker. I caught up my notes, did everything I could do before bedtime, had nothing else to do, so I curled up and tried to get to sleep. But man, I've not camped this rough in years. I've done rougher in the Rangers, but I've not done it this rough as a civilian. It's the first time. I come out basically just to see if I could still do it, just to prove to myself. And I curled up in that bivvy sack, and I was cold and I was wet, and I was trying to get comfortable, and the ground started leaching the heat out of me, and then that kind of equalized, and I was doing okay, but the shirt wasn't drying out, and I wasn't really cold, but I wasn't really warm. I was in this weird limbo. And then the mosquitoes started buzzing. Not many, but a few. And after a while, I just said, fuck it. I'm not getting to sleep yet. I'm not tired enough yet. If I'm going to be laying here, I might as well get up and do something. So I got up, and I thought, what if I can make a fire? Fire to dry out my shirt, dry out my socks, cheer me up some. I don't normally make fires when I'm camping by myself, but there's no one down here. I'm completely by myself. Haven't seen a hide nor hair of humanity since I got on the trail. But everything's soaked. It poured the rain all day. It stopped just a little bit before I got out and hit the trail. I mean, everything is soaked. But I thought maybe the mountain will provide. Maybe. So I got my little headlamp up, and I got to looking around. And you can't really see it. I'll have to take some pictures in the morning, but over here on this side, there's some birch trees with that real fine paper-like peel and bark, and it was soaked, but it'd dry if I had a little bit of fire. And up on the hill here were all kinds of hemlock trees, little pine trees, and underneath they had all kinds of little itty-bitty, teeny tiny, fine, dead branches. And they were wet too, but again, they'll dry out quick. And then further up the hill, I found an old dead oak tree. Been laying there for years. It's seasoned, soaked, but seasoned with all kinds of little branches. And I thought, I got a little bit of dry tinder in my pack. If I can get some of that birch bark dried out, burning a little bit, get a little of them little itty bitty fine pine branches going, maybe I can get something going hot enough to dry out some bigger twigs and get me a fire going. I'll be damned if I didn't get it to happen. It worked out. I had to try a couple of times, but I finally got it burning. And now I got me a little bit of coals hot enough I can keep putting little sticks on it, and they'll dry out and burn. But I'm warmed up. My shirt's dried out. My socks are dried out. My spirits are lifted. It's kind of humbling to think humans have been doing this for hundreds of thousands of years. We've been building fires to keep back the night, keep back the cold, light our way, lift our spirits. I don't know, it's just something to give you pause and think about. But I'm in a much better mood. I think I'm going to be able to sleep now that my shirt's dried out. So I'm going to let my little twig fire die down and burn out and cool off, because as it turns out, I've actually got to put my rainfly over top of that fire pit. There really isn't much room here. So I'm going to let it die down and cool off, and by then it'll be midnight, maybe a little bit to 1. I'll be tired. I'll get some sleep. But I'm going to be all right. Mountain provided, combined with a little bit of situational awareness, a little bit of skill, I'm doing all right. Good night, everybody. I'll catch up with you in the daylight.